jury will not be sequestered.
I'm Brian Buckmeyer, along with Terry Austin.
In the Weinstein case, fellow silence breakers and any
Selection is moving along
Well,
here.
I'll read the verdict, says Jesse Weber. Thanks for joining
We
us.
don't tend to see it as raw as this.
Good evening and welcome.
My ex-husband went to Rebecca after she had gone down to Missouri to retrieve her things. And so she had left Savannah here with her biological mother.
Okay, and by here you mean Minnesota?
Minnesota, up in Fair Rapids, Minnesota, right when we lived. And so I helped Leanne out many times with Savannah during that time. We were in contact with Rebecca in terms more of me than anything. At one point, David had decided to just ask if Rebecca would ever consider adoption.
And did you eventually take legal custody of Savannah?
Yes, we hired an attorney who had gotten the paperwork filled out. Rebecca and her biological father in Missouri signed it, sent it back. And meanwhile, Rebecca came back to Missouri, from Missouri to Minnesota. And upon her arrival, she explained to her mother what was going on. Her mother, Leanne. She hadn't mentioned anything about her decision to adopt Savannah to my husband and I.
Okay. And what happened when she explained that?
I had taken Savannah with me to a wedding service, and upon my arrival, there was, I noticed two people coming up to my truck very quickly, and one being Leanne, the other one being her sister. And they took Savannah from my arms and explained that Rebecca was in jail.
And eventually, did Savannah go into foster care at that point?
She was, for a short time, she was under her mother's care, which grandmother, so that'd be Savannah's grandmother, Leanne's care. When we had gone to the first court hearing, and the judge then ordered that Leanne be accompanied by police officers to the home of where Savannah was currently being held, while she was at court, and then Savannah went to foster care while we were going through a home study as an adoptive family.
Okay. Are you aware if the defendant had any other children?
Yes.
All right. Do you know who those children were?
Yes.
All right. Who were
She
they?
has two older sons by the name of Matthew and Jacob.
And do you know where those children were at?
I do now. I don't.
Did you at the time? Do you have personal knowledge of where they were at?
I don't think at that time I knew where. I just knew they were with her ex-husband.
Okay. And you said you became a foster care family and eventually did the paperwork to adopt Savannah?
No, we never became foster families. She went into foster care, and we were under home study.
Okay.
So when the home study was done, the judge signed off, as well as child services or whatever agency that oversees that.
All right. Were you awarded? Were you and your husband David awarded legal custody, legal and physical custody of Savannah?
Yes, and we fully adopted her.
Okay. And let me ask: was the name Savannah a name chosen by the defendant or yourself?
The defendant chose the name Savannah Lee, and she had a different last name. My husband and I changed the middle name to match the grandmothers in our family.
Now, was the defendant in Savannah's life after you adopted Savannah?
Yes.
All right. And could you explain your relationship with the defendant between the time you adopted Savannah and onward? Yeah.
There was a short period of time after Savannah came into our care that we were establishing a trust level because we were having quite a bit of trouble with her mother. And we wanted to make sure that myself, and our daughter were safe. We had since sold the resort, and as I wanted to be just a full-time mom at that point. So we did have a short time where we had contact through my parents only, and then we had a fully open, after we moved to Wisconsin and felt safe, we had a fully open adoption.
Okay. And was the defendant, when you moved to Wisconsin, was the defendant in Savannah's life?
Yes.
In your life? Okay. Did she come and visit Savannah and your family?
Yes.
Okay. And how was her relationship with you at that time?
I've had a wonderful relationship with our daughter all the way growing up.
Yeah. And how was your relationship with the defendant at that time?
Always good.
Did she call you by any sort of nickname?
Yes.
What'd she call you?
Mom.
Is this a fairly close relationship?
Yes.
Would you guys spend holidays together?
Yes.
How many holidays did you think you spent together?
The major ones, usually Easter, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Pretty much everyone
And
that she can make it home for.
would Rebecca come up to Wisconsin or wherever you were at the time and spend holidays with you?
Yes.
And what would the defendant hold herself out to be? How did the defendant introduce herself to Savannah? What was the nature of the relationship there?
There really wasn't a clear definition of an introduction of who she was. It just was always known. She was part of, I used to tell Savannah that it was part of her testimony, that she was adopted and that we just had an extended family.
Okay. Did Savannah eventually get a sister?
Yes.
All right. Who was that?
Michaela,
And who is Michaela?
Savannah's half-sister.
Is Michaela the daughter of the defendant?
Yes, she is.
And can you tell us about that, the process of adopting Michaela into your family?
We had heard from Rebecca the day before Savannah's second birthday that she was expecting again. And she and I had a phone conversation, and she asked that David and I would consider taking this baby as well.
Okay. And did you have any hesitation about taking another child in?
Not me.
No. Okay. And did you and David adopt Michaela?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And when did that happen?
Shortly after she was born.
All right. What year was that?
She was born in 2004.
Okay. And what year was Savannah born again?
She was born in 2001.
Okay, so this would have been when Savannah was about 3?
Yeah, when she was officially born, yes.
All right. When the defendant wasn't visiting you in Wisconsin or Minnesota, did you have regular contact with the defendant?
Yes.
How did you have that contact? I know it's a long period of time, so phone, email, text?
All the above.
Is it fair to say that as time went on, the methods of contacting her changed because of technology and...
Technology, yes, absolutely. Where she was living, sometimes it did pick that as well.
And you said you're no longer married to David Leckie. When did you separate?
We separated in the summer of 2010, if my recollection is correct.
Okay. And was that just a physical separation, or was that a legal divorce?
We physically separated then, and we legally divorced in May. Let's say May of I think it was May of 2012.
When you divorced, was there some sort of custody arrangement for the adoptive children?
No differently than our biological.
Okay. Okay. You mentioned earlier that you and David had difficulty having children. Did you have a biological child with David?
Yes.
Okay. Who was that, and when were they born?
When Michaela was 10 months old, I surprisingly found myself expecting, and Blaine and Michaela are 19 months apart.
Okay. So was there a custody arrangement for all of the children, including the biological children?
That's correct.
Could you explain that custody arrangement?
The children went to their fathers every third weekend and 2 weeks a year.
All right. Was David ordered to pay child support?
Yes.
How much in child support were you supposed to receive?
It varied over the years due to cost increases and whatnot. I want to say the first amount of child support that I started receiving was around 600 and something for the three.
And was that for all of the children in the marriage?
That's correct.
Now, are you familiar with Savannah's medical care at all?
Yes.
All right. And was Savannah ever diagnosed with any sort of medical or mental disorder?
Right around the time she was in second grade, we, after some different teachers and caregivers had brought to our attention that they felt that she should be evaluated, we went to her pediatrician, Dr. Tanya Bryan, and she ordered a full study on Savannah.
Okay. Do you know if she was ever diagnosed with anything?
Yes.
What was she diagnosed with?
ADHD and Asperger's.
Okay. Did Savannah receive treatment for those disorders?
I want to say early on, when she was little, we did not use medication. I want to say when she got a little bit older, and we started small doses of things to help her with her concentration at school.
Okay, and that was for the ADHD?
Yes.
So I'm going to go back to your divorce and separation from David Leckie. After you separated or officially divorced from David Leckie, did you start dating again?
Yes.
Okay. And are you familiar with a man by the name of Carrie Steves?
Yes.
And who is Carrie Steves?
Originally boyfriend, fiance, then husband.
Okay. How long were you married to Mr. Steves?
A year and a half.
Okay. When were you married to him?
November 2017.
Till
I want to say it was the following October, so maybe it wasn't a year and a half as well.
And were you married to him, or were you romantically involved with him before November of 17?
Yes.
All right. When did you first become involved with him?
In end of March 2015.
Okay. Did Savannah's behavior at home change around the time of your separation from David?
She was only 4. I didn't really see a lot of change. I honestly was full-time caregiver.
Okay.
Anyway, so.
How about at the time of your divorce?
No.
Okay. Did you ever start noticing changes in Savannah's behavior around the house?
In what time frame?
After he became divorced from.
Bob Bianchi. I'll be taking it at 5 o'clock. Good time to take a quick break. We'll be back on the other end. Please stay with us.
Fighting with your finances?
Yeah.
Save yourself the pain and let Truebill do the work. Truebill automates your personal finances by canceling subscriptions you're paying for but never use.
Who signed up for those?
Give your finances the fix and download Truebill today.
Nice.
What are my stats? Well, my investments are tracking up, my house will be paid off in 12 years, and I'll retire at 61. Take control of your finances with Quicken. Try risk-free for 30 days.
Letting go of my diamond ring was really hard, but selling it for the best price was simple with Worthy.com. They evaluate your jewelry to help you understand what it's actually worth. Then they auction it to their network of professional buyers. Get more for your jewelry with Worthy.com.
We all know that movement is like medicine, but getting the movement you need to feel better can be a challenge. Now you can keep fit while you sit with QB, the world's leading compact seated elliptical. QB gives you active sitting, letting you burn calories and keep moving in an easy and low-impact way, all while you work, read, or watch TV. QB was named a top 10 gift by Time Magazine and has been featured all over the world. It's whisper quiet while it works your abs and core, hip flexors, glutes, quads, hamstrings, and calves.
QB is a lifesaver for me.
Here's your answer to your problem. I feel young again.
Join the hundreds of thousands of people moving more with QB. Call to find out how to get your QB with free shipping and a 30-day completely risk-free trial. You'll also get this QB workout mat free. Now keep fit while you sit with QB.
To order, call 800-289-2402. That's 800-289-2402. Call now.
Hi, it's me again. Listen to this. Medicare Part C plans with extra benefits like getting money added back to your Social Security check every month may now be available to you in your zip code. Make sure you're not missing out. It's simple. 1, call the number on your screen. 2, they'll look up your zip code and see if you're eligible. 3, they'll check for plans with extra benefits like prescriptions, dental coverage, and the benefit that adds money back to your Social Security check every single month. Call now.
I called to get everything I deserve.
I called to check my zip code for a plan with the benefit that adds money back to my Social Security check.
I called to check my zip code.
Check your zip code. It could be dynamite. Call now.
Call 1-800-309-4237. That's 1-800-309-4237 now.
Everything you've seen me do was made possible by what you don't see. We all have the strength to see what's possible. It's up to us to unlock it. Tonal, be your strongest.
I'm Dan Abrams, and you're watching Law&Crime.
All right, as the case of Rebecca Ruud continues, we have the young child, 16-year-old Savannah, who is the victim in the case, her adoptive mother on the witness stand being asked questions by the prosecutor. Let's go back live to court.
Following her release?
We've been continuing on with her therapy, so she just continued doing that. And
was she regularly seeing a therapist?
Yes.
Can you tell me about the second time she was hospitalized?
It was shortly after I started seeing Mr. Steves. I received a phone call from, again, her main, what they call her case manager. And she had said that she saw a superficial wound on Savannah's arm.
Had you ever observed Savannah cutting herself?
Yes.
All right. Were those wounds ever serious?
No.
And was she hospitalized as a result of that incident?
Yes.
At some point, was a decision made that that Savannah should live somewhere else?
Kind of, sort of, I guess. I don't know how to answer that.
Okay. Did you look at alternative housing arrangements for Savannah?
Yes.
Why were you looking at alternative housing arrangements?
Due to mainly the fact that she was targeting myself, extremely combative at home, having lots of confrontations with her siblings. One of the confrontations resulted in my youngest son's father showing enough concern that he was talking about keeping him away from the home.
Did you and David talk about where to place Savannah?
Yes.
All right. Did you ask David to take Savannah?
Yes.
And was he able to?
He said no.
All right. Did you look at other relatives?
David and I discussed a couple options at that point.
All right. What options were you looking at?
We considered my parents.
And are your parents, are they Sandy and Gerald Montag?
Yes.
Okay. And how old are they?
72.
All right. Were they able to take Savannah in?
Neither one of us felt that it was going to be a good idea because my mom's health has been up and down for many, many years.
Okay. Was there anyone else, any other options you looked at?
My sister Amanda.
All right. And was she able to take Savannah in?
The decision to send her to my sister Amanda between David and I was discussed, and we decided no.
Okay.
It wasn't a good fit.
And why was that?
At the time, I brought to David's attention that where my sister was a wonderful aunt and a temporary caregiver, I did not think that a long-term placement in her home was a good idea. My sister had gone through cancer, lost her uterus, and I had felt that my sister was having a lot of problems with dealing with that. And I didn't want to put too much on her.
Ultimately, what was decided, what did y'all decide to do with Savannah?
That when we kind of came to a roadblock, I again asked Mr. Leckie to please consider, which is my ex-husband David, to please consider taking her because he lived in Minnesota and he didn't have any children in his home, it was just him and his wife.
Okay.
And he again refused.
At some point, did you look at the defendant to house Savannah?
The defendant was brought up in conversation from David to me.
Had you maintained a relationship with her up to this point?
We had just had a recent falling out. It wasn't very long before this.
Okay. What was that falling out over?
Two different things. One thing being when I became romantically involved with Mr. Steves, I was in a happy place. And at the time, Rebecca and Mr. Pete had just had a recent breakup. And she felt that I was talking about my new relationship too much and almost to the point of rubbing it in her face that I was happy and she wasn't, which I didn't understand. But the second reason was, and I don't remember ever seeing, there was a posting that Mr. Steves had put on Facebook, and Rebecca had made a comment that Savannah and Mr. Steves were Facebook friends, and that comment was inappropriate for a teenager to see.
Okay. Can you describe, was Did the defendant did you eventually, you or Mr. Leckie eventually reach out to the defendant to see if she would take in Savannah?
Mr. Leckie made the first contact and conversations with Rebecca.
Was some sort of a housing arrangement established with the defendant?
It was first brought to my attention, and we rediscussed it all again. Everything that they had discussed about the arrangements that they thought were going to be best.
Okay. Do you know how long this arrangement was supposed to last? How long was Savannah supposed to live with the defendant?
We hadn't really, in the very beginning, made a real permanent. We had talked around Thanksgiving, seeing if maybe the short term going to somewhere, which I personally was having an extremely hard time with the idea of sending her that many.
How far away is Ozark County, Missouri from where you were living at?
About 10 hours.
All right. And that's by car?
Yes.
Yeah. And when you say Thanksgiving, do you mean Thanksgiving of 2016?
That's correct, yes. Yes.
All right. Did you intend for this to be permanent?
No.
Were you seeking to terminate your parental rights?
No.
Did you give the defendant the right to make decisions regarding Savannah's health and welfare?
Right after Savannah went to Missouri, I sent power of attorney paperwork. I signed it. It needed a second signature from her father. I sent that paperwork to him with the self-addressed envelope to Mr. Ruud, and at that point, I don't know if it ever had gotten there until later when I learned that when she told me that she didn't have one. I was surprised.
All right. So, if I'm understanding you correctly, you attempted to execute a power of attorney, and she never received it.
Not that I know. Yeah, not that I knew of.
Okay. Did you make efforts to get that to the defendant?
Yes.
All right.
There was a situation concerning some truck driving, and I'm not really remembering, it's been quite a while, but that's the point where it seemed to be a real important issue. I also, I'll wait for you guys.
Let me ask you, did you make was there any sort of arrangement for money?
Yes.
All right, could you describe that arrangement?
So at that point in time, I was receiving close to $800, and that included what the state was sending me for the large amount of back child support.
And this was child support?
Correct.
All right. And could you explain to the court, what were you supposed to do with those child support?
All right, Nima Haddadi is a criminal defense lawyer. Nima, if you've been looking at this case, tell us, what is the prosecutor's biggest problem do you think that they're going to have in convincing this judge, because it's just a bench trial, that there's enough proof beyond the reasonable doubt that an actual murder took place?
I think before that tape came in, it was going to be very difficult for the prosecution. Now I think at this point, the prosecution just needs to not mess this case up. They, in essence, already have a confession from the defendant. She admitted that she burned the body. After that, it doesn't make much sense why she didn't go to authorities. I think the prosecutor is going to have to walk a tight rope and make sure that he just doesn't mess this case up. I feel like the case is there for the prosecution.
Well, you know, Nima, it's funny you should say that. I think some of the hardest cases I tried as a prosecutor were the slam dunk cases. They got me more nervous because I could only lose that case. So you bring up a good point. Question, because I've been asking all my guests this. I have been in a situation as a defense lawyer, and certainly as a prosecutor, where a defendant elects to have a bench trial. It's not typical, it's atypical. It's harder to convince 12 than necessarily one. Why do you think the defense made the move to go with the judge trial only?
I think the defense wants someone to look at this case in a very technical aspect. They don't want emotions involved. I feel like the only way that they're going to get a not guilty in a case like this is if that there's a technical issue in the case. And that's what they're hoping, that the judge can take his knowledge of the law and he'll be able to find some type of technical issue.
Yeah, I think that it always brings up to me, and I always mention this, maybe the audience gets tired of hearing me say it, but literally in the jurisdiction where I practice, you could be in one county and it is a very difficult to secure convictions. The jury pool is kind of not so much on board with the prosecution, where you step over a county line into another jurisdiction, and the exact opposite is true there, where they're very pro-police and pro-prosecutor. And I've always kind of, it's bothered me, if you will, even as a prosecutor, that things can be so disparate depending literally on the geography where you're at. You have any thoughts on that?
No, I agree with you, but it is jury of peers. It's the people in the community. That's what our justice system is based around, and I feel like that's what you kind of get.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, Nima, I appreciate it. We're going to get to a little bit more, including hopefully a little bit later on. The Ghislaine Maxwell sentence has been rendered. We'll talk about that. A kind of fascinating little discussion about what defense lawyers were looking for, what the prosecutors were looking for, and what the judge ultimately came to a conclusion was, in their opinion, a fair and just sentence. I'm sure it'll be very controversial. We're going to take that on, as well as the rest of this case, on the other end of the break. Please stay with us.
I'm Dan Abrams, and you're watching Law&Crime.
The world's gone wild over bucket hats. How do you improve on the must-have headwear everybody wants? With breakthrough cooling technology. Mission is the leader in cooling and heat relief innovations, now engineered into a full line of stylish and versatile bucket hats. The coolest hat you'll ever wear. Activate with water, ring, and wave. Mission's breakthrough hydroactive technology cools up to 30 degrees below your body temperature in under a minute. We soaked a Mission cooling bucket hat and an ordinary bucket hat in over 100-degree water. Thermal camera imagery shows the dramatic cooling. Mission's technology produces amazing results like this. It's like your own climate control that goes where you go. Hard at work or hard at play. No matter how hot it gets, cool more, do more with Mission. Machine washable, chemical-free cooling that lasts for hours. Go to mission.com right now to get your own cooling bucket hat starting as low as $19.99. For a limited time, use the promo code below to save 25% and get free shipping on all Mission cooling and heat relief innovations.
With Simplify by Quicken, it takes just 5 minutes for me to stay on top of my money. The app tells me when I've been paid, if a bill's too high, or if I've been overspending. I always know how much I have left to spend or save, and that saves me time and money. Start your free trial today.
Calibrate is a doctor-guided weight loss program that combines virtual doctor visits, FDA-approved medication, and one-on-one video coaching to reset your metabolic system. Get back in control of your weight and your health with Calibrate. Use code CALIBRATE50 at joincalibrate.com.
Funerals can be emotionally devastating for a family to go through. Besides the sorrow, loved ones are left with the high cost of arranging a funeral. Funeral Advantage was formed to help protect your family when they need it most. It pays your loved ones up to $20,000 immediately for funeral and any other expenses.
It's a good feeling to know that my family will be taken care of if anything happens to me.
Funerals can easily cost $9,000 or more, but government benefits pay only $255, leaving your loved ones to pay the rest.
It's so easy, just answer a few simple health questions. This is so affordable, even for someone like me who's on a fixed income.
If you're 40 to 85, get information on how to protect your family. Funeral Advantage is something we all need. There's no risk or obligation. Call now.
Get the facts about how easy it is to protect your family. Call 800-852-0564. That's 800-852-0564.
Does shopping for bladder control products have you feeling like you need someone to be on the lookout for you?
Now you have your privacy back. We're HDIS, and we home deliver bladder control products directly to you. We're always on the lookout for you.
You get free shipping in plain, unmarked boxes.
So your private matters stay private. We understand how you feel. For over 35 years, we've delivered bladder control products to millions of Americans, just like you. You don't have to worry about incontinence any longer. Call now for your free product sample pack and over $45 in money-saving coupons. At HDIS, we're always in stock. We carry all brands in hundreds of styles and sizes. You'll be sure to get what you need, guaranteed.
For your free sample pack with your free catalog and $45 in money-saving coupons and free product samples, call 800-791-6037. That's 800-791-6037.
So Savannah's adoptive mother on the witness stand right now being asked questions by the prosecutor. While we were on a break, the adoptive mother indicates that Savannah was excited to go back to live with her birth mother, the defendant in this case, and that the defendant wanted to send her, Savannah, back on a Greyhound bus, and that she, the adoptive mother, often mediated disputes between the defendant and the victim, describing the victim as very headstrong, and sometimes the defendant would refuse to allow the adoptive mother to speak to Savannah because there were behavioral issues or issues that were going on with regard to the victim. Let's go back live to court.
If Savannah had a need, or she had a need, if I could afford it, I would send it down through Amazon to her.
Did you ever go and visit Savannah in Ozark County?
No.
Did your parents visit her?
Yes.
When did that visit occur?
The end of April of 2017.
Was there any reason why you were unable to visit her in Ozark County?
Yes.
What was that?
Financial reasons. My husband was, not yet husband yet, but he was going through lots of medical issues.
Okay. And did you and the defendant ever talk about discipline measures used with Savannah?
Yes.
And can you tell us about those conversations?
I would explain to her methods that would work for me.
Okay. And what kind of methods worked for you?
Very clear and concise, giving her lists of how to do things, making sure she understood what's expected of her.
And was this because of the Autism Spectrum?
Yeah, and the ADHD. Yeah.
Did the defendant ever tell you about her own disciplinary measures against Savannah?
Yeah.
All right. And what were those?
A lot of the same types of things that I would do. The taking away privileges, in terms of things that she was supposed to go do, wasn't allowed to do. I remember one time some of the items I'd sent down were held back from her getting them because of some behaviors.
Okay.
Just some general things.
Was there anything you disagreed with?
No.
Oh. When was the last time you had contact with Savannah? Did your contact significantly drop off after Thanksgiving of 16?
I wouldn't say significantly. It was less though.
It was less? Okay. And was that in part because you would have to call the defendant?
Yeah, I was asked to be on a schedule. Try to call during certain periods, and there'll be times that those times during my work schedule wouldn't work either. So.
When you would talk to Savannah on the phone, did she ever express any unhappiness about living with the defendant?
Not living with the defendant. I would say it's just the general, every once in a while, typical not getting along teenage, differences between a parent and a teenager.
Okay. Were you friends with with the defendant on Facebook?
Yes, I was.
Okay. I'm going to show you what I've marked as State's Exhibit 32. Do you need glasses?
Yes.
All right, do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
It is a post that she put on Facebook when the police came in and with a search warrant and had asked her to stay at bay.
Okay. And is this the Facebook account that you knew the defendant to use regularly?
Yes.
And have you conversed with her previously through that account?
Yes.
And all right, at this time, Judge, I will move to admit State's Exhibit 32.
No objection.
Okay, admitted. All right, so let me ask you about possible disciplinary measures and if you would approve it. Would you have approved of bathing in a pond?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. There's no foundation laid for any of this stuff, and it's random, and I'm going to object on relevance as well.
I think it's relevant to go towards showing what disciplinary measures she would have approved or disapproved of. And
there's no foundation for why he's asking that particular question.
Well, I think I'm like, this is a general question, but I assume that you're going to follow it up at some point.
I think so, Judge, maybe through another witness.
Okay, now restate your question.
Okay. Would you have approved of as a disciplinary measure bathing in a pond?
No.
In a pond?
In a pond, P-O-N-D.
Oh, okay, overruled.
Right.
No.
Would you have approved of would you have approved of Savannah being hosed down as a disciplinary measure?
I remember hearing about it.
What would you have approved of that?
No.
Okay. Would you have approved of Savannah being forced to crawl through a hog pen as a disciplinary measure?
No.
Would you have approved of her guinea pig being taken away? All right, no further questions for this witness. They may have some questions for you.
Why don't we take a 5-minute break and we'll come back. Okay.
Death certificate was 4.
All right, joining us is Anna Yum. She is a criminal defense lawyer. Anna, let me go to you first with this. So what are your thoughts so far about how the prosecutor's doing, how the case is going in, and your thoughts on whether or not it was a good move to go bench trial and not have a jury?
Right, Bob. Well, I think this witness is very sympathetic. You could just see the pain in her face. She is the adoptive mother, and especially when the prosecutor was talking to her about certain disciplinary measures and whether she would approve of it, you could just see that in her face that she was just so pained to think of the possibility that Savannah would have to endure something like that. You can clearly see the love, and you can clearly see how this is emotionally affecting her. Now, as to your question about whether it was smart to go with a bench trial or not, I think it was clearly a tactical decision, a very strategical decision from the defense, because let's be honest, we're talking about a child with special needs. And these kinds of cases invoke a lot of passion, a lot of emotion, and a lot of sympathy from potential jurors. Usually, as a defense attorney, you want to go with a jury of 12. But here in this case, it may have been smart to just go with the legal issues and go with one judicial officer to make the decision.
Yeah, Nima, I mean, it's really quite a risk that you take, and I'm sure they went over it extensively. I thought it was very artful, and again, this may get to the point in front of a jury. The prosecutor's last line of questioning as to whether or not she would approve of the punishments, including walking through a bathing in a pond or in a pig pen, even taking her guinea pig. It's really like emotional. That would have a very big impact on a jury, not so much so with the judge. But what did you think about the prosecutor's line of questioning? Was that a go for the heart kind of question?
You know, I'm not sure, actually. I was a little bit baffled as to the line of questioning. I didn't know why the prosecutor was asking those questions. If it was in front of a jury, I would understand. It would evoke emotion, but I'm perplexed as to why he was asking those questions when it's a bench trial.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, judges are people too. They certainly can be influenced, maybe not as much as a jury because they listen to this day in and day out. Nevertheless, prosecutor got it out. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back on the other end with Ghislaine Maxwell. The verdict, if you will, is in as to what her sentence is. We'll discuss that with our guests on the other end. Please stay with us.
I'm Jesse Weber, and you're watching Law and Crime.
I'll never forget the day I nearly died. I was a young journalist with a great career, starting a family. The only way we found out I had any kind of heart issue was when I went into sudden death. My coworkers sprung into action. They'd recently been trained in life-saving CPR protocols developed by the American Heart Association. They're the ones that kept me alive until the medics came. They did many tests on me in the hospital after my cardiac arrest and found my arrhythmias and created a treatment plan. My pacemaker, my defibrillator, different surgical procedures I've been, all with research from the American Heart Association. That makes it pretty personal. I think unless you are a heart disease patient, you may not know how much work the American Heart Association does behind the scenes to save your life. That's why I'm doing everything I can to pay it forward, and I urge you to become a monthly donor. Your support will help get the next person trained in CPR, the next hospital to be certified in high-quality cardiovascular care, the next medical breakthrough, one that could save your life or the life of someone you love. With heart disease killing 1 in 3 Americans, more than all forms of cancer combined, the need is greater than ever. When you become a monthly donor, you'll help sustain life-saving work all year long. And when you start your monthly gift of $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you'll get a t-shirt like this one. From the moment you put it on, you'll help raise awareness for heart disease and stroke. Since my cardiac arrest, I've had 2 more children. I've watched all 3 of my children grow into adulthood. I'm gonna cry now. Graduate from college, my daughter got married. I have grandchildren, and I'm still here. Call now or visit helpheart.org to become a monthly donor today. Because it's personal.
Say hello to Truebill, the #1 personal finance app, packed with tools to help manage your money, like canceling unused subscriptions with just a tap. If you're ready for an all-in-one money management solution, then download the Truebill app today.
What are my stats? Well, my investments are tracking up, my house will be paid off in 12 years, and I'll retire at 61. Take control of your finances with Quicken. Try risk-free for 30 days.
Calibrate is a doctor-guided weight loss program that combines virtual doctor visits, FDA-approved medication, and one-on-one video coaching to reset your metabolic system. Get back in control of your weight and your health with Calibrate. Sign up today at joincalibrate.com.
What does shopping for contacts look like at Warby Parker? Well, just imagine your favorite brands, take away the hidden fees, and add free shipping. There you go. Save 15% on your first order of contacts at warbyparker.com.
Okay, welcome back to Law and Crime Network's afternoon session. Well, today was Judgment Day for Ghislaine Maxwell, who was convicted in December on charges of sex trafficking, transporting a minor, and conspiracy. We just learned that she will spend 20 years in jail, prosecutors were seeking 30 to 55 years in prison, while her lawyers were looking for only 5 years. So the verdict is in with regard to that. So, Anna, what do you think? I mean, there's a lot of controversy about this, given the gravity and depth and breadth of the criminality that was involved here. Prosecutors seeking to basically put her away for the rest of her life. And even though while 20 years is a substantial sentence, and typically in federal they'll do about 85% of that sentence before they're eligible for parole, I guess it's possible she could get out.
Absolutely, Bob. This is a case that garners so much controversy because you're thinking about, from, of course, her perspective and her attorneys, they're thinking, listen, this is a placeholder. The real culprit here is Jeff Epstein. And so, of course, they're up in arms about the sentence. But on the flip side, from the prosecutor's perspective and from the judge's perspective, I believe the judge indicated that she was sentencing Ms. Maxwell based upon her conduct alone, not taking into consideration Mr. Epstein. So I can understand those arguments in terms of, she shouldn't necessarily be a scapegoat here and the real culprit was Epstein. But at the end of the day, I think the judge was swayed by the lack of responsibility that she took and the lack of alleged remorse. And I think that was the pillar in terms of why she imposed this 20-year sentence.
Yeah, Nima, you know that in the federal system, the coveted, either 5K cooperation or acceptance of responsibility, they have guidelines that will actually reduce your sentencing level. And when a person is convicted, it goes to the probation department to prepare a report. Because she did not accept responsibility, as Anna is indicating here, she lost those coveted reducing credits in her sentencing. But I'll push back a little bit on, the lack of remorse and accountability is certainly a big factor. But, the testimony that came out during this trial was that she was an instrumental piece in this massive sex scheme, because she got those young women, those young girls, to rely upon her, feel comfortable with her, groomed her. Without her, there is no Jeffrey Epstein abusing these kids. Just my take on it. What are your thoughts?
I think you're right. I think a big issue was, in terms of the remorse, I anticipate that there's going to be an appeal. So anything that she said, I'm sure she went over with her attorneys. I don't think she could have sat there and actually apologized or did anything of that nature due to the nature of that appeal that is coming. In terms of the judge, I did anticipate the 20 years. I did think that he was going to go with probation's recommendation, as in most people do in high-profile cases like this. But all of this was pretty expected, in my opinion.
Anna, what do you feel about what we call parity, that is consistency and even sentencing provisions? Because we've seen cases, either child pornography or cases that are far less, but I'm not saying less serious. They're not as widespread. The breadth of it isn't as big in scope as this, who get these kind of sentences. So in a certain sense, you kind of got a sentence that people with lesser crimes get. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, I think that's the whole essence of the federal sentencing guidelines, right? We're talking about numbers, a very numerical equation type of sentencing situation where the judges look at. And of course, there's departures and there's mitigating factors and aggravating factors. But I think in this case, the judge was able to listen to all of the evidence throughout the trial. And it wasn't a situation where the judge was just relying upon the indictment or the information and then what was in the probation report. But the judge got to hear from all of these witnesses and all of the victims in this case. And I think that was where she was coming from in terms of the sentence imposed here. It was not just the allegations, but the evidence in terms of what was proven in the trial.
Nima, do you have any insight or thoughts about, let's be real here. She is sitting on a bevy of information that could be useful to prosecutors with regard to what are alleged to be very high-profile people that were engaged in this illicit sexual activity. Any chance that after the sentence is handed down that she comes forward and prosecutors would be willing to listen to see if she could cooperate in cases against those individuals?
I think so. I think that's actually going to take place after the appeal. I think she's going to see how her chances are, how the appeal moves. And I think at that point, definitely there's a lot of people that want to hear what Maxwell has to say about a lot of high profile people. I'm very, very confident that that stone will not go unturned.
Anna, what about you? What are your thoughts about that, and how damaging, as a prosecutor, will they look at in terms of her credibility, given that she's going to wait till after an appeal perhaps to do this? Is she valuable to them?
Right. I agree with Nima. I think that potentially she could be valuable, especially, of course, from her position after the appeal. But we all know in federal cases, it's a lot of times it's built on a house of cards. There's a lot of involvement. There's a lot of talks that go on. There's a lot of exchange of information. So I think the prosecution in this case is definitely going to be interested in what she has to say, especially given the breadth and the length of time that all this alleged activity took place. So I'm very interested to see that because I think that potentially could happen.
Yeah, this is something that is going to be amazing to see what occurs with regard to. Certainly the community is demanding this. We see this. They want names. So we'll see what prosecutors do. Nima, I know you have to go. Thank you very much for being with us. Anna is going to stay with us, and we're going to have another guest on the other end of the break. You're watching Afternoon Session at Law & Crime Network. We'll be right back.
This is an important message for everyone on Medicare. Today we are talking about Medicare Part C, commonly called Medicare Advantage. If you don't have a Medicare Part C plan, call now because there may be plans with additional benefits available that are simply not covered under Medicare Parts A and B. That's right, there are people on Medicare but don't have a Medicare Part C plan, which covers everything in Part A and Part B, plus extra benefits in Medicare Part C. Here's the good news. If you're on Medicare, you can call even if you called last year. We will check to see if there is a Part C plan available in your area with additional benefits. If you're losing coverage, moving, or new to Medicare, call to speak with a licensed insurance agent during the special enrollment period. You don't get Medicare Part C benefits automatically, so call now for your free 2022 no-obligation Medicare benefits review. Just call 800-827-1307. 800-827-1307. This is an important message for everyone on Medicare. Today we are talking about Medicare Part C, commonly called Medicare Advantage. If you don't have a Medicare Part C plan, call now because there may be plans with additional benefits available that are simply not covered under Medicare Parts A and B. That's right, there are people on Medicare but don't have a Medicare Part C plan, which covers everything in Part A and Part B, plus extra benefits in Medicare Part C. Here's the good news. If you're on Medicare, you can call even if you called last year. We will check to see if there is a Part C plan available in your area with additional benefits. If you're losing coverage, moving, or new to Medicare, call to speak with a licensed insurance agent during the special enrollment period. You don't get Medicare Part C benefits automatically, so call now for your free 2022 no-obligation Medicare benefits review. Just call 800-827-1307. 800-827-1307.
I love Simplify by Quicken. It shows me how much I'm spending and creates a personalized spending plan. I always know how much I can spend and save. How much more could you save? Take the Simplify challenge and find out. Named the best budgeting app by the New York Times Wirecutter. Start your free trial today.
We all know that movement is like medicine, but getting the movement you need to feel better can be a challenge. Now you can keep fit while you sit with QB, the world's leading compact seated elliptical. QB gives you active sitting, letting you burn calories and keep moving in an easy and low-impact way, all while you work, read, or watch TV. QB was named a top 10 gift by Time Magazine and has been featured all over the world. It's whisper quiet while it works your abs and core, hip flexors, glutes, quads, hamstrings, and calves.
QB is a lifesaver for me.
Here's your answer to your problem. I feel young again.
Join the hundreds of thousands of people moving more with QB. Call to find out how to get your QB with free shipping and a 30-day completely risk-free trial. You'll also get this QB workout mat free. Now keep fit while you sit with QB.
To order, call 800-289-2402. That's 800-289-2402. Call now.
What is the internet's favorite razor?
I'm obsessed with Billy.
Billy.
Daily, new at Walmart.
I'm Brian Buckmeyer, and you're watching Law and Crime.
All right, we're waiting for court to resume in the Rebecca Ruud case. We've been covering this gavel to gavel here at the Law and Crime Network. She's being charged with having murdered her daughter, Savannah, only 11 months after she was repatriated with her from her adopted mother, who was just on the witness stand and will probably be continuing on cross-examination by the defense when we go back to court. And 2 weeks after that, they found, after she had been there for all that period of time, that short period of time, I should say, fragments of her hair and teeth that belonged to Savannah that were found in a burn pile on Ruud's property. So she was arrested for that, and she is facing trial. Today, we had some interesting testimony from a co-defendant in the case, Robert Pete Jr. Let's take a watch.
Did you assist with that search?
Yes.
Now I'm going to take you back. Do you recall a fire occurring at the property a few days before?
Yes.
All right, can you tell us about that?
I was at my mom and dad's house and got a phone call from Rebecca. She said she needed help. The fire got out of hand. I told her to call the sheriff's department and I would head that way.
Okay. Are you were you a volunteer firefighter at that time?
Yes.
Okay. Did you leave for the defendant's residence at that time?
Yes, my dad went with me.
Can you describe, when you got there, can you describe the fire that you saw?
There was an extensive amount of land burned, but the fire department had got most of it under control.
Did you assist in putting the rest of it out?
Yes.
What was your dad doing during this time?
He was with Rebecca and she was burned pretty bad on her arm.
And was he treating her wounds?
I believe so.
Okay. Did you see Savannah that day?
Yes.
Was she injured?
No, I'm aware of.
Okay. Could you tell us about your interactions with Savannah on that day?
They were fairly normal. Savannah did her own thing for the most part, and later in the day she'd come up and help me clean up some of the brush and stuff that hadn't completely burned.
Did she appear to be healthy at that time?
Yes.
Did she appear to be injured to you?
No.
Now that evening, what were you and Savannah doing that evening, if anything?
If I remember source correctly, I had lit the pile that I may have built with the damaged logs and brush on fire and was burning that, and Savannah was out up there with me. She usually liked to chase lightning bugs and different things of the evening if it was nice.
What was the weather like that evening?
It was a nice night, if I remember correctly.
Right. And were there a lot of lightning bugs out that evening?
I honestly couldn't remember.
Did she appear to be happy and healthy that evening?
To me she did.
Okay. Do you recall seeing the defendant interact with Savannah that evening?
Some.
Okay, could you tell us about those interactions?
I know that they weren't getting along the best because Savannah hadn't been doing her homework.
All right, was there an argument about that?
I believe so.
All right, interestingly, in this testimony, from what I'm understanding, is that he never says, as a witness, that the defendant killed Savannah, and the testimony was rather short. Anna, this is incredible. I want you to be ready for this. We have the amazing, the stupendous, the unbelievable, the great one, Gene Rossi, the only man I know, and I'm very jealous of this and I'm very out front about it, that, you know, I had a pretty prolific trial career, but I never had a room named after me like they do in the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Gene Rossi War Room. My friend Gene Rossi, how are you, sir? It's been a while. Don't blush.
I'm hyperventilating.
You got the color of Anna's shirt on your face right now. Hey, Gene.
I share the same admiration.
Hey, Anna, I miss you, buddy. I miss you.
I miss you so much. I'm so thrilled to be on with you, Gene, the legend.
Hey, guys, I'm here too, All right?
Oh, you are?
Hey, Gene, I wanted to ask you this. I want to go to Ghislaine Maxwell real quick, just do a little bit of a sidebar. You in the U.S. Attorney's Office, a prolific litigator. In all seriousness, you know that code inside and out. You know the lay of the land there. Now, prosecutors were asking for a 50-plus year sentence, and the defense was asking for 5. Did you find anything unusual about the 20-year sentence that was actually meted out in this case?
Yes, and actually the prosecutors wanted 30 to 50, which is a complete life sentence. The probation office recommended 20.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, I think the judge showed a tiny bit of compassion, gave her 20 years. I got to tell you, that's still a very long sentence because 1 year in prison is worth 4 years out of prison. That's a lot of time for someone her age.
Yeah, I think this is going to be debated, and it is interesting. I was mentioning before, sometimes these probation reports come out on cases with far less of a magnitude of this with very high numbers, and I'm sure there'll be a big debate about how this sentence compares to other less intense cases, and what I mean by less serious cases. But in any event, the adoptive mother on the Rebecca Ruud case is in court now and being cross-examined by the defense, and we're going to go live, so let's go to it.
And prior to Savannah coming to Missouri, there had been conversations between you, David, and Rebecca regarding child support, correct?
I don't recall there being one between the three of us at the same time.
Okay. You'd had a conversation with Reba about it. Okay. And you had agreed, I think you said 1/3 of the payment you received from David is what would go to Rebecca?
Yes.
Okay. And do I understand correctly that David was either paying you or paying into the Minnesota Family Support Division equivalent?
Into the Minnesota Family, or into the Minnesota Child Support.
Okay. So you had to receive the support prior to you being able to forward any support?
Most of the time, yes.
Okay. And was there a point where the support was coming in regularly during that time?
Yes.
And you said that ceased?
Yes.
And you said that situation had made Reba angry, correct?
Yes.
Did it make you angry?
Yes.
Did that affect your ability? It affected your monthly budget, didn't it?
Yes.
And Tamil, when you had Savannah in your care and custody, were you employed during that time?
Yes.
Was it a continuous thing, or was it off and on, or how did that work?
It was off and on.
Tamil, I'm going to ask you a few questions just about Savannah generally. You had testified that she had some behavioral health diagnoses, correct?
Correct.
And one of those was ADHD, correct?
Yes.
And that is attention hyperactivity deficit disorder. Okay.
Yes.
Attention disorder. I'm so sorry, I couldn't get that right. Attention hyperactivity attention deficit.
Yep.
Okay, now I got it. All right. And her other diagnosis is she was on the autism spectrum, correct?
That's correct.
And did you ever I think you maybe referred to it as Asperger's.
Correct.
If you know the answer to that, like, does Asperger's syndrome put her on a higher end of the spectrum or a lower functioning end of the spectrum, or somewhere in between? A high end?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think you also testified that at some point, maybe when Savannah was around 14, that she'd been diagnosed with depression as well?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to ask you some questions about what were the symptoms of ADHD that you saw in Savannah? Or how did that affect her behavior?
Are you talking about when she was little or when she was a teenager?
Let's go for all of it. If you want to start when she was little, up to the point when she was a teenager.
Like a typical first-time mom, I didn't recognize her wiggle, worm, high energy as being anything else than unloving until some teachers started to point out to me that there was a little too much wiggle worm in her. So we had all of our teachers do a Vanderbilt, and myself and any other parent figures involved at the time filled out and brought her pediatrician and started the process to see what she had. And she had her evaluated, and it was a 4-day process. I know she had ADHD. After hearing about it, reading about it, researching as much as I did, I knew that she had ADHD, but the Asperger's was something I had no idea.
Okay.
Until she was diagnosed with it.
And did the evaluation that Savannah underwent at that time, is that when she was also diagnosed with Asperger's, or was that another time?
No, same time.
Okay. So she received the diagnosis simultaneously?
Yes.
Can you describe how being diagnosed or having Asperger's syndrome affected Savannah?
When she was diagnosed with Asperger's and ADHD, she was in the back seat after we received the diagnosis, and during her final evaluation with her last person, I had time to go out and sit in my car and reflect. And I called a very good friend of mine at the time and cried. I was overwhelmed. And she must have saw that I was upset when she came back out. And from the back seat, she said to me, "Don't worry, Mom, this is going to not be my albatross, this is going to be my launching pad." So she took it much better than I did.
And she was she in second grade when she said that? She used that phrase.
She was, yeah.
Savannah was very intelligent, wasn't she?
Extremely intelligent.
Did she soak up information like a sponge?
Yes, she did.
Do you need a few minutes? Okay. Did Savannah have an individualized education plan through a school? An IEP?
In her second grade year after she was diagnosed, I worked with her teachers, and we started the process of getting an IEP or a, I think they call it a 516, I'm not sure, but she didn't have that. She didn't qualify for that one, but she was definitely an IEP. It took about 9 months to get it.
And that started somewhere 2nd or 3rd grade.
Savannah's adoptive mother on the witness stand, tearing with some very powerful testimony. We're going to take a quick break here on the Law&Crime Network. We'll be back with more of this testimony on the other end. Please stay with us.
Roy and Debbie retired, then had to face a volatile market. Worried that their retirement may not last, they contacted their personal capital advisor. They used our free retirement planner, which showed them their chances of retirement success, so that they can make the right decisions about their future and be ready for whatever the market may bring. Get the free retirement planner, then talk to an advisor. Start today at personalcapital.com.
There's stories about art from other cultures and food from other cultures and animals from around the world.
Do you know koalas have pouches? Did you know islands are made from volcanoes?
It's an event every month that unites us, and he's excited to share it with me.
Celebrate global cultures and explore the wonders of the world with a Little Passport subscription, a monthly exploration brimming with hands-on activities, science projects, and stories. Learn more at littlepassports.com. Must be 18 years or older to order.
What are my stats? Well, my investments are tracking up, my house will be paid off in 12 years, and I'll retire at 61. Take control of your finances with Quicken. Try risk-free for 30 days.
Calibrate is a doctor-guided weight loss program that combines virtual doctor visits, FDA-approved medication, and one-on-one video coaching to reset your metabolic system. Get back in control of your weight and your health with Calibrate. Use code Calibrate50 at joincalibrate.com.
Want payday to come a little faster?
I get paid 2 days before everyone else. I love getting paid on a Wednesday.
Want to say goodbye to those long check cashing lines?
I can never see myself standing in a line at a bank again.
Get your own NetSpend prepaid MasterCard with direct deposit. Your money loads straight into your NetSpend card. Shop online, pay bills, buy groceries. Use anywhere debit MasterCard is accepted.
I use it every day for every purchase. I use it to pay my rent.
It's not a credit card. It's convenient, and you can even earn payback rewards on many of your purchases. That's money right back into your card account.
From eating at major restaurants to sending my mom flowers, I get cash back.
Because this is not a credit card, with NetSpend you pay no interest fees, late fees, or activation fees. There's no credit check to get started and no cost to order.
I use my NetSpend card for everything.
Be one of the first 200 callers and choose your card color. 1-800-866-0189. That's 1-800-866-0189. Get paid up to 2 days faster with NetSpend.
Good evening and welcome to Brian Ross Investigates. You tell him to stop?
You can't tell him to stop.
You deny these charges, no ifs, ands, or buts?
I never met her. I don't know who she was.
So what does that tell you?
Tells me that they attempted murder.
I'm not going to speak to you right now. But
Why not? Why can't you talk?
I'm Jesse Weber, and you're watching Law&Crime.
All right, we're covering the Rebecca Ruud murder trial. Right now on the witness stand, if you're just joining us, is her adoptive mother, Savannah's adoptive mother, under cross-examination. During the break, a lot of just basic questions, nothing too intense. Let's go back to court to see where the defense is going to go with this very powerful and emotional witness.
He ordered an ambulance.
Okay. Did you attend those counseling appointments with Savannah?
Yes.
Were you in attendance at this counseling appointment?
Yes.
Okay, so you were aware that his recommendation would be that she would go to inpatient treatment or the emergency department?
Yes.
Okay. What did you learn about his reasoning, or why did he recommend that?
She had a appointment that day when her case manager called me about having, and so there was already an appointment. I was already coming to get her early, And I called John and they're right there. So he was aware of the cutting situation. And when we got there, based on the protocol that he felt was important from his, being under his care, he thought that was the right move to send her that way versus having me transport her.
And when you say caseworker, with which agency was this caseworker?
It was with St. Michael Alberta High School.
Okay. And was the reason ADHD? Was there some sort of symptom of her ADHD that caused her counselor to be concerned?
No.
Was it the Asperger's?
No.
Was it depression that caused him to be concerned?
Behavior, undiagnosed behavior at that time.
Okay. Were there particular symptoms of the behavior that was concerning to him?
A superficial self-harm.
Was that the first time that Savannah had engaged in self-harm?
No.
What other times had she engaged in self-harm?
I don't recollect the exact time it happened. I just know that there were a few times between the last hospitalization or the first hospitalization and the last hospitalization.
What was the method of self-harm that Savannah engaged in?
What did she use?
What did she do to herself?
Typically, she would make a cut on her arm or her thigh. I think even on her stomach one time.
Did you ever observe her actually do the cutting?
No.
Did you observe the wounds after she had done that?
Yes.
And you became aware that it was a self-harm thing?
Yes.
Did she tell you that?
Yes, she heard it when she was in the hospital the first time.
Do you recall the facility that Savannah went to in May of 2015?
Abbott Northwestern Hospital.
Okay.
Behavioral health.
Is Prairie Care part of that?
No.
Okay. Was she ever admitted at Prairie Care?
As an outpatient, yes.
Okay. Was it strictly outpatient, or was it a combination of partial home, like partial hospitalization care?
I remember it just being outpatient.
And do you recall, well, I'll back up a step. Had Savannah ever threatened to commit suicide?
Not that I know.
Did you talk with providers whenever she was hospitalized, or her counselor, any of her mental health providers?
Yes.
Because they would ask for input because Savannah was a minor.
Yes.
And you were the person that would have provided that information?
Yes.
Okay. And I apologize, these are voluminous records here. Let's see. And there was another time that you said there were 2 times that Savannah was hospitalized. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Was one of those times in 2016?
So there's 13 months apart. One was in May of 2016, the other one was 13 months before that.
So that would have been...
Okay, I think what you're seeing right now is the defense attorney kind of gently getting into the area that they want to get into, that this could be another cause of her death as opposed to the defendant actually committing the murder, which may explain why they've gone bench trial. Anyway, Anna Yum, thank you so much for your time. I know you got to go. I'll be back with Gene Rossi on the other end of the break, so please stay with us. We'll be right back.
I'm Terry Austin, and you're watching Law&Crime.
I'm Mike Huckabee, former governor of Arkansas, and I'm here with my wonderful wife of almost 50 years, Janet, and our puppies.
Over the years, we've learned to make a marriage work, you need love.
Respect.
And most importantly,
a good night's sleep.
Mike had real difficulty getting to sleep and staying asleep until he started taking Relaxium Sleep.
For years now, we both fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and wake up refreshed every morning. It's made life a whole lot better. And since Relaxium Sleep's formula is so safe and effective, there's no issue how often we take it. Clinically proven Relaxium Sleep's triple action formula was developed by renowned neurologist and sleep expert Dr. Eric Ciliberti to regulate your natural sleep cycle, relax your body, and calm the mind for better sleep through the whole night. We love the sleep that we're getting with Relaxium Sleep.
And we continue to recommend it to family and friends who tell us how it's changed their life.
Relaxium is so confident that it'll work for you, they're going to give you a bottle of Relaxium Sleep absolutely risk-free for 30 days.
After being a Relaxium customer for at least 3 years now, because I'm getting a better night's sleep, it's making everything else about my life more enjoyable.
When I take Relaxium Sleep, I sleep better than I have in years.
I wake up feeling alert, like I've had the best night's sleep.
With Relaxium Sleep, I'm so happy I'm going to use the product forever, for life.
Change your sleep tonight so you can change your life tomorrow with Relaxium Sleep.
Call now. Relaxium is giving away 1,000 bottles of clinically proven Relaxium Sleep today. Fall asleep, stay asleep, wake refreshed.
Call today for your 30-day risk-free trial and 100% money-back guarantee. Relaxium Sleep doesn't need a prescription, is 100% drug-free, and is non-habit forming. Call 800-455-0648, 800-455-0648.
Trust Unite to Relaxium Sleep.
Calm. Download the free app now.
With Simplify by Quicken, it takes just 5 minutes for me to stay on top of my money. The app tells me when I've been paid, if a bill's too high, or if I've been overspending. I always know how much I have left to spend or save, and that saves me time and money. Start your free trial today.
I've always been prone to hair thinning.
I was under a lot of stress.
I was getting older.
I started taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement.
I am back to me.
Start your hair growth journey at Nutrafol.com.
Calibrate is a doctor-guided weight loss program that combines virtual doctor visits, FDA-approved medication, and one-on-one video coaching to reset your metabolic system. Get back in control of your weight and your health with Calibrate. Sign up today at joincalibrate.com.
Do you listen to the TV on high volume or have trouble hearing conversations? Then you would benefit from hearing aids. Don't waste thousands on expensive hearing aids when you can get Nano's revolutionary technology for just $297. Don't be fooled by higher-priced hearing aids. The CIC Recharge is a true hearing aid, not an amplifier. With rechargeable technology many customers say is superior to more expensive models. Call now and get not one, but 2 Nano hearing aids for just $297. Plus, we'll add a portable charging case and ship your order absolutely free. The CIC Recharge has a tiny in-the-ear canal design that is nearly invisible. Why keep missing out on important conversations or waste thousands of dollars? Call and get 2 CIC Recharge hearing aids for only $297 and free shipping.
800-797-7585. Again, that's 800-797-7585.
Okay, so the adoptive mother's on the witness stand on cross-examination. Interesting, during the break, the defense attorney using medical records to show the hospitalization of Savannah for self-inflicted injuries. Let's go back live to court.
Then we'll simply ask that Defense Exhibit E be admitted, and we previously discussed this. I don't know if you're going to have any objection.
Well, is there a business record affidavit with that?
As previously provided, yes, there is.
Let me see what you got. Specifically admitted here.
And this is from which facility?
Atlanta Health.
And that's what, 36 pages, 37 pages?
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, that probably needs to be taken in. These are from where? Atlanta Health?
Atlanta Health. And this should be 37 pages there.
I still have Gene Rossi with me. Gene, I'm curious, you know, I'm trying to stretch my imagination here. I don't ever recall being in court where somebody used another document to refresh somebody's recollection. That was the legal objection that the prosecutor made, and apparently it did refresh her recollection. In your mind, is that prohibited? I can't really think of a reason why it would be prohibited.
As I learned in studying evidence, you can use anything to refresh recollection, as long as the witness says, that may help me refresh my memory. And one of my professors used the example of pasta. You show pasta, let somebody smell pasta, that would refresh. Or you play a song. Anything can be used to refresh, as long as you don't introduce it.
Yeah, that was my feeling as well. Gene, I haven't gotten an opportunity to ask you this question, but being a seasoned and sophisticated and nuanced lawyer, the defense agreeing to have a bench trial, which is something that I've only done once, and that was after the prosecutor in chambers told the judge that the case, my client was not guilty, believe it or not, and so they made him go to trial. The defense has to be convinced, don't you think, that there's not enough proof to show that the defendant actually murdered? I mean, otherwise it's a really risky shot. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think in this type of case, going with the judge, that's a wise decision, because the judge will not be overcome with emotion. But I gotta say this case is reminding me of the one of Florida versus James Scandarito, where he admitted he killed his father in self-defense and disposed of the body. Their defense is this: she did not take the life of Savannah because Savannah probably took her own life, and she may have panicked and disposed of the body, which is wrong in itself, but at least she's avoiding the murder charge. I see this defense, I don't know if it's going to work with this judge, but it is a very good defense given the cards they've been dealt with.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I just, to me, I'd rather have the 12 and at least hanging one at a minimum, or maybe a straight out not guilty, you know, leaving it with the judge. It'll be interesting to see what happens with it. But anyway, they're live in court and continue cross-examination. Let's see if the defense attorney goes a little bit more into this idea that these were self-inflicted injuries that caused the death, because that's where they're headed down this path right now. Let's go live.
I'm referring to the February 4th of 2016 date.
I have to see based on when she was last hospitalized. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, I can mark these as Defendant's Exhibit F. And if you would like to just review and confirm that Savannah's name is on there and see if that helps refresh your recollection. I do. And it is F. Prairie Care Records.
This is what, F?
Yes, and this is Prairie Care Records.
Oh, there you go.
That was attached on the other two, it just wasn't on the first page. move the floor to admit it.
Okay.
All right, Tamil. This is Defendant's Exhibit F. And I'll have you take a look here at that first page and just see if that helps to refresh your recollection as to whether or not you recall that Savannah was treated at Prairie Care on February 4th, 2016.
Her name's on there, so I guess.
And is the date of birth the same as Savannah's?
Yes.
So you're saying today you don't recall her being treated at Prairie Care on February 4th of 2016?
I know she was treated at Prairie Care. I'm not sure how many times.
Do you recall the reason?
The Jubilee was followed from the first hospitalization, or one of the hospitalizations, so it was followed to work with her some more on.
And what was the reason for the first hospitalization?
She was looking at disturbing information on a website, and they were discussing suicidal type subjects.
And from that, I guess that information, that was communicated to her healthcare provider?
Yes.
And her healthcare provider then recommended hospitalization?
I believe that we called her first, and then she did say to take her in for hospitalization, correct? And then we followed up with whatever the hospital had thought was best for her.
And did Savannah ever make an attempt at suicide?
No.
Have you ever reviewed any of Savannah's medical records?
I'm sure I have, yes.
And did anyone besides you typically take Savannah to a doctor's appointment or a medical appointment?
No, it's always me.
I will seek leave to admit Defendant's Exhibit F, but I will remove my post-it notes here shortly before I do so. I can allow you to inspect it if you so choose.
I have no objection if she removes the Post-it notes, Judge. It is, does have a proper business record affidavit, and she has given us notice of that.
Appropriate admitted.
I will present those to the court here in just a moment. Ms. Duvall is graciously removing my post-it notes. And Tamil, you said that Savannah also was treated in a business, her counselor was named John, is that correct?
My last counselor, yes.
Okay, and was part of that business called Solution or Solutions Counseling?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and did you attend some of those sessions with Savannah?
Yes.
And you took her to and from those appointments?
Yes.
And did you ever speak with the counselor in that case?
Usually I either start out speaking with him and updating him, or we'd end a session and he would spend some time with me.
Did you ever communicate any concerns about a potential suicide or Savannah being suicidal to her counselor?
Just the concerns of her change in behavior. I was concerned about some of her writings
What made you concerned about those writings?
They weren't my typical Savannah.
And what do you mean by not your typical Savannah?
She's a very happy-go-lucky girl, and some of those writings and some of the things that she would, look up or read were concerning. That she was, having some dark thoughts that I wasn't used to.
What specifically do you mean by dark thoughts?
Just not positive, a happy-go-lucky girl, and just more anger with more problems with anger. Just changing, she was my first girl teenager, and much of the way she was acting, I chalked up to identity issues, just general girl having some, just trying to figure herself out.
And do you recall having any conversations with any of Savannah's healthcare providers regarding those dark thoughts?
When she was admitted into the hospital for the first time, that's why she was looking up things that were darker in nature, that was concerning enough so that we wanted to take it seriously.
Is dark thoughts a diagnosis that she received?
No.
Did she receive a diagnosis relating to her dark thoughts?
Along the lines of some depression issues, yes.
And so she was diagnosed with depression at some point?
I do believe so, yes.
Okay. And do you recall if she was prescribed any medication for depression?
I don't recollect.
Do you recall whether she ever had any plan to act on these dark thoughts?
No.
And do you recall whether you ever would have communicated with any healthcare provider regarding a concern that she might act on those dark thoughts?
I think as a mother, I wanted to make sure that she was safe, and is this normal? First time I'd ever dealt with this, so I wasn't an expert by any means.
Did you notice any changes in home or family life that seemed to accompany these dark thoughts or dark periods?
She's just had more anger issues, yes.
Did it coincide with family changes?
Yes.
And were those family changes if you were dating someone or ended a relationship with someone? Did it seem to coincide with that?
Not really. No.
And you never expressed any concerns that you would have a dead child if she wasn't hospitalized?
I remember at one point thinking that the second hospitalization, they weren't taking the right steps to make sure that we as a family were equipped to make sure she was going to be fine. I didn't understand how to care for her when she was having these dark thoughts. I wanted to make sure she was safe.
What were you afraid would happen from these dark thoughts?
Based on my very limited knowledge, I was concerned that they would progress.
How would they progress?
I didn't know. and have that experience.
I will approach now with Defendant's Exhibit F, which is medical records relating to Savannah Leckie.
A very crucial testimony the defense getting out here about these dark thoughts, anger issues, identity issues, diagnosed with depression, and that she is intimating that she's got information that the adoptive mother felt that the child would be dead if she was not hospitalized. We're going to take a quick break at the Law&Crime Network. We'll be back on the other end with more of this testimony. Please stay with us.
I'm Sean Sticks Larkin, and you're watching Law&Crime.
Don't let heat shut you down. Cool more, do more with Mission, the leader in cooling and heat relief innovations. Technology developed for elite athletes like three-time pro basketball champion Dwayne Wade and pro football champion Drew Brees. Now engineered into all new performance caps and stylish bucket hats that will help you cool more, do more. Breakthrough hydroactive cooling technology now with 50% more cooling power. Activate with water, ring, and wave for cooling up to 30 degrees below your body temperature. It's like your own climate control that goes where you go. We soaked a Mission cooling bucket hat in near boiling water. Thermal camera imagery shows the dramatic results in less than a minute. UPF 50 performance fabric, machine washable, chemical-free cooling that lasts for hours. How can you do more when it's hot?
With Mission, that's how.
Go to mission.com right now to get your own cooling bucket hat or performance cap starting as low as $19.99. For a limited time, use the promo code below to save 25% and get free shipping on all Mission cooling and heat relief innovations.
With a subscription to Little Passport's Animals Wild, your child will explore new animals and habitats, like the powerful beasts of the Serengeti and the unique creatures of the Australian outback. Learn more at littlepassports.com. Must be 18 years or older to order.
What are my stats? Well, my investments are tracking up, my house will be paid off in 12 years, and I'll retire at 61. Take control of your finances with Quicken. Try risk-free for 30 days.
Hi, it's me again. Listen to this. Medicare Part C plans with extra benefits like getting money added back to your Social Security check every month may now be available to you in your zip code. Make sure you're not missing out. It's simple. 1, call the number on your screen. 2, they'll look up your zip code and see if you're eligible. 3, they'll check for plans with extra benefits like prescriptions, dental coverage, and the benefit that adds money back to your Social Security check every single month. Call now.
I called to get everything I deserve.
I called to check my zip code for a plan with the benefit that adds money back to my Social Security check.
I called to check my zip code.
Check your zip code. It could be dynamite. Call now.
Call 1-800-309-4237. That's 1-800-309-4237 now.
We all eat unhealthy foods and breathe unhealthy air. Most of what you eat, drink, and breathe passes through your liver. This can make you feel tired and sluggish. Your liver is a vital organ that cleanses your body, supports your immune system, and produces your body's energy. Liver Right Liver Aid is the natural dietary supplement that aids and supports liver function and cleanses your liver from impurities in your diet and environment, so you can have better energy and better quality of life. Help your liver daily with Liver Right Liver Aid. Available at CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, and Walmart.
Adoptive mother on the witness stand right now, being cross-examined by the defense attorney. During the break, important testimony came out that she applied, the adoptive mother, for a waiver of benefits in order to try to get more benefits. Spoke to a caseworker and indicated behavioral problems, emotional problems, self-injury, aggressive to sister, destruction of property, and other things. Again, as we indicated before, it seemed like the defense lawyer knew that the adoptive mother had made various statements, and I think they're coming out right now. Let's go back live to court.
Yes, they provided extra funds for her care.
Okay. And what were those funds to be used for?
Helping her with her extra care, paying people if necessary, or filling the gaps when I was caring for her full time.
And do you recall when you first received assistance or those payments?
Yeah.
And when when you were supplying information for this waiver, did you also supply information about her activities of daily living, such as hygiene, eating? Okay. And did Savannah suffer from hygiene problems?
Yes.
Did she need assistance?
Yes.
Did she need reminders?
Yes.
Did she mind being dirty?
No.
If someone didn't make her wash her hair or wash her body or brush her teeth, would she have done it voluntarily?
No.
And Tamil, did you have a caseworker through the Wright County Division of Health and Human Services?
I think so, yes.
And you maintained regular contact with that agency?
Whatever was required of me, yes.
And was Savannah on a state-funded insurance?
Yes.
And she received the, I'm not sure if Katie waiver is what I'll call it, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And so that did require you to maintain contact with a social worker or something along those lines?
I believe they checked in from time to time, and there were some requirements, but I'm not familiar anymore.
And would they have did you have a duty under the Katie waiver to keep them informed of changes in diagnosis or behavioral health?
Not that I recall.
Were you ever contacted by anyone from the Wright County Division of Health and Human Services after Savannah was seen for inpatient treatment or had a different diagnosis?
Not that I recall.
Did Savannah ever make an allegation of abuse or neglect on you?
No.
She never did. There was nothing in June of 2016?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
So you aren't aware of Savannah reporting that you were leaving her unsupervised at night with her younger siblings?
No.
And
Gene Rossi, as anticipated, it's clear in the manner in which the defense lawyer is asking questions. She's got a plethora of records where these statements are in them. She's artfully asking questions, in my opinion, and then confronting her with a huge psychological history, hospitalizations, self-injury allegations. I mean, this goes to the heart of why it was they may want to go with that bench trial to say that this could have been an alternative to the actual theory of the prosecution that was a murder. What are your thoughts, Gene?
Oh, I think this defense attorney, Kate, I think her first name is, she's doing a fantastic job. And you hit the nail on the head, Brother Bianchi. She's not asking these questions just because she's fishing. She's asking these questions because she has documents that support the basis of her question. So there may be further witnesses down the road that will impeach this adopted mother. I got to tell you that their defense seems to be going very well right now, but I haven't heard all the evidence.
Yeah, and the cause and manner of death has to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt here, and or at least inferentially can be done. What are your thoughts on the fact that they're not going to have a medical examiner to do that, Gene? I got about 15 seconds.
The lack of a medical examiner's testimony to prove with circumstantial evidence how the person was killed is very helpful to the defense.
Yeah, and I suspect, Gene, that is exactly the reason why the defense wants to go just with the judge, for that very clear and important legal distinction that maybe the emotions of a jury would be overcome by all the other testimony and skip past that. I would think that that would be the explanation. Gene Rossi, always great to see you, my friend. You're doing a great job as always. That is it for me. I will be back Thursday from 3 to 5. Go to the YouTube channel, Law&Crime Network, if you want to see the rest of this trial, or stay tuned for our regularly scheduled program. Have a great week.
You think you got what it takes to make it as a gumshoe? Put your skills to the test with June's Journey, the detective game where spotting hidden clues helps catch devious criminals.
So are you going to tell me about last night's incident? We can do this the easy way. Or...
Honey, have you seen the dog? I don't want to know.
There's a detective in all of us. June's Journey. Download now for free.
Between work, family, and everyday life, I can't slow down. Thankfully, CBDMD helps me conquer the day. Take advantage of instant savings and fast free shipping. Available at cbdmd.com.
At Boll & Branch, we don't make bedding like everyone else. We make it better. We prioritize thread quality, not thread count. We source the finest 100% organic cotton to make the softest, most luxurious fabrics on earth. We're free from toxins, the way home should be. Boll & Branch is made different, so you can sleep better at night. Experience the difference at bollandbranch.com.
In today's busy world, managing money is hard. That's why I started Truebill, an app that brings your entire financial picture into focus. Truebill also saves you time and money by canceling subscriptions you no longer want and getting you lower rates on your bills. Download Truebill and start saving today.
I love Simplify by Quicken. It shows me how much I'm spending and creates a personalized spending plan. I always know how much I can spend and save. How much more could you save? Take the Simplify challenge and find out. Named the best budgeting app by the New York Times Wirecutter. Start your free trial today.
It wasn't Meta's fault that yo-yo dieting failed her. Calibrate works with her biology to end an unsustainable cycle. Medication, coaching, lifestyle tweaks. Lose at least 10% of your body weight or your money back. Join Calibrate.com.
Do you own an annuity, either fixed rate, indexed, or variable? Are you paying high fees and getting low returns? If so, Annuity General would like you to have this free book to learn the pitfalls and mistakes of buying an annuity and how to get out of one you're unhappy with. The Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers is from a leading financial firm. It contains the little-known truths about annuities, like how to help reduce your fees and increase retirement income. And it's free. That's right, free.
Call 800-830-0217.
As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report just for calling. We researched over 1,200 annuities and summarized rates and benefits of annuities from financially strong insurers. You get Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers and a free annuity rate report, both absolutely free for calling Annuity General today. Hurry, supplies are limited.
Call 800-830-0217. That's 800-830-0217.
Call now.
With Bonfire, you can easily fundraise by selling custom shirts online, upload your artwork, or create a design right on our website. In these unique times, you can still make a difference. Fundraise with custom shirts today on bonfire.com.
Guys, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction, Peak Performance for Men has a natural solution that can help you today. That's right, stop wasting money on pills and inferior technology that hurts and just masks your ED. Fix it for good. The best part, our ED treatment is non-invasive, painless, and you can get back to your natural function after just a few short in-office sessions. Call us today and mention this ad and your initial consultation is free.
We are your trusted specialist and only national erectile dysfunction provider. Call Peak Performance for Men today.
calm. Download the free app now.
I'm Brian Ross, and you're watching